Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. Did you know Tennova has 6 convenient locations across East Tennessee? Across East Tennessee? They also have them across East Tennessee. They are in La Follette, Jefferson City, Newport, Farragut, downtown Knoxville, just a couple of blocks from our studio, and in North Knoxville on Emory Road. They also have surgery centers, rehab centers, and physicians groups in additional locations throughout East Tennessee. If you need medical care, if you need medical attention, Tennova Healthcare is where you need to go. Any one of their locations throughout East Tennessee. All right, back with Jimmy, Bob, Mark, and Chuck, and one of the hot topics I want to throw out here, we got it on the board here, is Tennessee's path to the tournament already donezo? But first, I'm going to keep teasing that because we're going to got some numbers for you. First, though, I want to talk about Tennessee's defense. Cuonzo Martin preaches defense. We got some numbers here to show you of how they've stacked up against the SEC since he took over. And you can see the defense over in the right column. They were 9th in the league in his first year, then 6th in the league. Right now, they're 4th in the league. That was going into yesterday. Offense 7th, 6th. My question. If you're going to play defense and be defense first, you better play incredible defense if you've got this kind of offense, because I don't think this offense is good enough meshed with this defense. So the question is, am I wrong? Can this defense carry this offense?
No. And I think we've seen that. Number one, if you're going to preach this great defense, you need to get more easy chances for some transition buckets. And I don't think you see that often enough with Tennessee. And two, and probably my big point is, I think you have been too predictable with your defense of being strictly or almost exclusively a man-to-man that makes it easy to prepare for. We see it with the ball screens they have so much trouble with. So no, I don't think you can count on this defense being.
We've discussed this. Let me ask you that, Mark. Is it easier to prepare for a team? I mean, you're the scout guy for UT, putting these scouting reports together, breaking down tape. How much easier is it if you go into a game knowing all they do is man-to-man or all they do is zone?
Well, I mean, it's easier if you're only preparing for one thing. If they're really, really good at it, well, then obviously it's difficult to handle.
Which gets us to?
Well, if you just look at the stats, if I'm wrong, we've went from 9th to 6th to now 4th.
Correct.
And then on the point of the ball screen coverage, you saw a lot of yesterday what we call downing or icing, as Jimmy Dykes referred to it as. We're trying to keep the ball on one side of the floor in the ball screen coverage. So we've tried to do some things. He's added some quarter pressure. With that said, I know that's primarily what we do is going to be your man-to-man defense, and it is a little bit easier to where if an offense is flowing and they just know coming down, and the opponent knows coming down that they're going to still be in man-to-man, they can stay with that momentum as opposed to maybe throwing a possession of zone to get them out of their rhythm.
Guys, what do you think? You need to improve on offense, or the offense isn't going to improve, so you better improve on defense, which is going to be tough because you're already 4th best in the league.
Well, I think they can improve on both. Offensively, to me, they have enough weapons to be better than they are. They've been inconsistent, but they should be better than they are offensively. Defensively, and Mark, you had pointed this out, through, I guess it was 8 games, Tennessee defensively last year was allowing opponents 38% field goal shooting, and now it's 45%. That to me is the alarming number. Mm-hmm. So I think they've got to get better both ways, but offensively there's no reason they shouldn't be better. Now I know Hubbs is not shooting that well yet, but I think he will. Barton started out hot from three-point range, he's tailed off a little bit. Your inside guys have to start making the tough twos, but there's no reason this offense shouldn't be better. Maybe with time it will be, but it's been too inconsistent.
We'll talk about those inside guys in just a second. Bob, quickly, is this defense good enough? Oh, go ahead.
Can I steal your numbers now that we were talking
Sure.
about? Thank you very much. In Tennessee's losses, they've shot 55% from the free throw line.
Or less.
Less. In their wins, they've shot 75%. I disagree. I think the offense is good enough if you're hitting your free throws along with it. I mean, how many points, you go back in their losses, how many points is Tennessee leaving off the scoreboard because you're just not hitting free throws? Yeah. I mean, if those numbers were just up at a consistent 70%, then what is your record right now?
We've been saying this since the Bruce Pearl era, though. They haven't had a great free throw shooting team over there in a while. I hope you weren't in charge of free throws over there.
His reactions as he walked.
Yeah. So I don't know. You were scouting their free throws. So I don't know if we can expect any kind of improvement there if it's inconsistent. And all teams are up and down. You have bad nights, but this team is leaving a lot of points on the table. All right, let's jump to the next question. Jordan McRae went over the 1,000-point mark yesterday. Congratulations to him, 26 points. He was the only Tennessee player in double figures. On the season, McRae is averaging 19 points per game, while the combination of Stokes and Maimon is averaging right at about 24 points a game. Mark, I'm going to start with you because I know you've gone inside those numbers and looked specifically at wins and losses. Is Tennessee better when the offense goes through the paint or when they just turn it over and let Jordan McRae go nuts?
Well, I think you can't let Jordan just go nuts on us because we've shown that he'll take a bunch of random shots at times.
He'll do it.
But Jordan is a guy that regardless of the opponent, regardless of the atmosphere, he has a scorer's mentality. We went back about the toughness side of it. Jordan's not the physical tough guy, but Jordan has a certain level of mental toughness when it comes to offense. He's confident regardless of who's covering him. He can get a basket. He can go get a bucket for us.
Well, you saw it on that dunk yesterday, and then the primal scream that shouldn't have got a technical, but did.
Yeah. The other part about the Stokes and Jerron Maimon, they have struggled, and a lot of that is, from the free throw line in our wins and losses. But if you look at the wins, if you look in the wins, they're shooting 56% combined. Jarnell and Jerron are in wins, and in losses they're shooting 38%. And then from the free throw line, like Jimmy's point was, they're shooting 71% from the free throw line in wins and 50% combined in losses, and that just goes back to that's who we run our offense through.
And right there, your points. That's just total scoring. When wins, the paint guys are averaging 28 points combined. In losses, that's down 12, and you see that McRae's numbers go up in losses. So in other words, you need those big guys to be getting it done. If you look at a lot of people looking at Jordan McRae saying that's where it should go, the numbers would suggest when it goes that way, you tend to be behind. And as Cuonzo Martin said yesterday, you start jacking a few more threes.
And Jordan McRae is an SEC Player of the Year caliber player. He can get his points. I think for Tennessee to be effective, it works for inside out. And you have to get the ball in there some. You have to get those guys involved. The problem to me is you look at also inside the numbers, when somebody can match up physically with Tennessee's post players and has the length, that's when they struggle. And when you're not getting points, it doesn't matter if you're going inside out. It's not working.
Yeah.
And sometimes numbers do lie because those numbers are, if you look at who we've beaten as opposed to who we've lost to as far as the competition level. The length, UTEP isn't that name, but they're also a top 5 in the country as far as length and height. So our bigs have struggled against bigger opponents.
Is that just a question of genetics, they're not tall enough, or is that a question, does it get back to toughness at all? Or are they just going to be limited when it comes to bigger guys? I mean, there's no way to really coach somebody through that, is there?
I think a part of it is skill level. I don't think Stokes is a good finisher. I don't. Against taller people. Now, against people he can dominate, he is. Maimon's not finished as well this year as he did 2 years ago, in my opinion. So I think a part of it is just being able to finish better.
Well, Mark may disagree with me, but I think it looks like Stokes, when he gets the ball, there's a lot of hesitation in there. He just doesn't get it and do something with it. One, that's probably part of it, he doesn't catch the ball really well. And I think, okay, I've caught it, now I've got to do something with it. It looks to me like he gives the defense a chance to react to him once he gets the ball down low, sometimes in pretty good position.
20 seconds.
Well, I think both those guys are really good once the angle is already created for them. They can finish, they're physical enough to take somebody up with them, but they're not guys that you can just throw it into them, back, someone's guarding them, go make a one-on-one play. That's not where they're at best. If they have the angle created, they can go up and they're going to dunk on, like Jarnell did yesterday, dunk on whoever comes over to try to block it. But they need to do a better job finishing.
He just waited the whole first half and most of the second before he decided to do it.
Okay, I feel like a debate moderator. Not that there's debate, just that, okay, you get 30 seconds, Governor. 30 seconds. Shut up. All right. When we come back, we will talk more about Cuonzo Martin's temperament. Does that have an impact on this team? He's a pretty laid-back guy. And also, Mark's got a quickie kind of a look ahead to the NC State game, what you can look for in that game. And still to come, we're going to look at Tennessee's path the rest of the way to the NCAA tournament. Come on back on the Enrichment Sports Source.
Miss an episode of the Enrichment Sports Source? Catch up online at sportsource.tv.